Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Altered Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
Yo, what's up, Mr. Charlie of the Ville of Altered Confusion?
Hello. Of course, I am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific comer himself, Zealeus.
Word up in the house?
Yes, still in the house.
What house, though? There's so many houses.
The one in which I am quarantined upon, around, something like that.
The house they can never leave. Oh, I forgot to do something.
Oh, no. There you go.
Okay. Now we're
there
good.
We go. Oh, now we're ready. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is a Thursday Night Hangout. This is a show for you, by you, where you, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful audience that you are, can submit questions to us, and we will try to bring them into the discussion. We also, it would be wonderful if you give it to us before the show, but if you forgot to do it, you, of course, at any moment can just drop it into the chat, and we'll try to incorporate it into the show. That being said, let's hit a real fun one right off the bat. So,
Ow!
Okay, Zealeus is dying, so we're just going to trudge on till he gets medical assistance.
Stupid cat.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen. All right, Zealeus, stop breathing in your mic. Okay, anyways. The first story is kind of a weird one, but it does have to do with the quarantine. I don't know how many people have actually heard about this, but it turns out that a 42-year-old was arrested on a private island in, Disney? In Florida. Basically, Florida deputies arrested a man who had been living out his quarantine on a shuttered Disney World island, telling authorities it felt like a tropical paradise.
It sounds like a pretty reasonable expectation to me. He was on an island without people around. What was the big problem? I mean, he was self-quarantining himself. Is that what we're supposed to be doing?
The 42-year-old said he didn't hear numerous deputies searching the private island for him on foot, by boat, or by air because he was asleep in a building. He told the deputy he didn't know it was a restricted area, despite there being numerous no trespassing signs.
I like this guy.
I can't believe it's been... First of all, I want to know how long he's been there. Because I'm surprised that someone hasn't done this yet. I mean, all the theme parks are closed. I would not be surprised if there's other people basically playing out their quarantine in theme parks.
That would not be surprising at all.
Yeah.
Maybe there are others, and we just didn't know. Maybe he was the first of the many to fall.
I mean, it is funny though. I mean, come on, you got to give it to him. He definitely did. He went on vacation, so there's that. But funny. Ha ha ha.
So where would you go hide then, if you could hide, sir?
Where would I hide?
Yeah,
probably in Probably a mountain cabin or something. All about the nature, man. All about the nature.
I could go for that. That sounds good to me.
I'm not huge into the beach, but if I knew of a place that I knew was going to be deserted, that was up in the mountains, oh yeah, I'd be there.
Just go up there and sit around for a while and just kind of be able to relax.
Light some fires, drink some moonshine. I mean, beverages, the good stuff.
The good shine.
Exactly. The sunshine.
The sunshine of my throat as it burns going down. But it burns oh so well.
Yes. All right. So I know we've been talking about basically Valorant since it came into closed beta has been part of our discussion. And so I'm happy to say, or I'm sad to say, that we're going to talk about Valorant again. So I think it was last week we were talking about how Riot finally caved and said, okay, here's how you could turn off the anti-cheat software because it's blocking certain files or executables from working on your computer.
Yep.
Which, of course, I had to restart my computer today, which is the first time I've reset it in a while. And when it started loading back up, the Vanguard logo popped up and then said, "Hey, we're blocking this, just so you know." And
what
I'm
was
like,
it blocking?
an ASW file.
Oh dear.
I was like, Anyway, so, our last week we were talking about, okay, that's all fine and good, but it's a little bit sketchy that it stays on even if you're not playing the game. Now, of course, we went into it's on the kernel level, all that stuff. Well, news just dropped today that there might be a problem with the anti-cheat software. And that is, my friend, people who are currently playing Valorant say that the anti-cheat software is making their PCs overheat.
Well, I would say that's probably not a good thing that you want to happen in your video game.
One of the let's see here. Some players are reporting that the controversial anti-cheat software called Vanguard is interfering with software and drivers tied to PC hardware like cooling systems, keyboards, mice, and GPUs.
Nice.
One player detailed the struggle in a Reddit thread. I just spent the last 3 hours figuring out why I couldn't get into Windows because my keyboard and mouse wouldn't work. Just before that, I started smelling hot plastic. My graphics card was running plus 90 degrees Celsius because, again, Vanguard disabled my cooling software.
Well, that's probably not supposed to happen. But
Yes.
when you have a piece of software that can basically indiscriminately do what it wants to your device because it has kernel level access, weird things like that could get caught in the crossfire. That's part of the chance you take when you allow software like that. And that's one of the reasons people hated the idea of allowing, a lot of the other anti-cheat software, it's really just kind of watching for stuff and just like more of like a detection system. So it's not going to actually interfere with what your computer is actually doing. It'll be like, oh, you're cheating, so it'll ban you.
Right.
But it doesn't actually have unlike Vanguard, it doesn't actually have operational control over what happens.
So the anti-cheat lead over at Riot did respond in the Reddit thread stating, "We're working on ways to make the experience better. Our current notification pop-ups aren't as good as they could be, and we're looking for ways to give you more control over how Vanguard works." Which basically says, oops, now that we know, we'll see if maybe we can figure something else out.
So here's another crazy idea for Valorant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't actually run Valorant, so I don't know how this works. But let's just say, okay, let's take your case, right?
Yep.
So you run, and the anti-cheat software is like, oh my gosh, I detect AWS, right?
Yep.
So in that case, do you have to shut down AWS, or could you have left it running?
Oh, no, it won't let it start.
It won't let AWS start?
Mm-hmm.
So what I would propose is this. What about this as a workaround, right? Okay, you're on Valorant, you restart a computer, the anti-cheat, it detects this piece of software. You then have a choice. Either A, you let your software AWS run, or B, you just can't run Valorant.
That would make sense to me.
So that way it's like, okay, well, at least I know I can't run Valorant, but it's not like messing up stuff with your computer.
But still, at the same time, I mean, even if it's a key thing, like the thing that controls my coolant system in my computer, it's either you can keep your computer within reasonable temperature, or you can play Valorant. That's a problem.
Well, I would agree. I mean, yes. Or you get detected. I mean, I guess, do other games report this software as a false positive would be the interesting thing to know.
Yes, that would be very interesting.
Valorant just so overzealous in its detection, where it almost sounds like it's a whitelist software where they add things to a list, and if something is not in that list, it must be evil because it's not in our special list.
Okay, so let's just say, because I don't know. I mean, I've got Valorant installed on my computer, and Vanguard is currently disabled because I was afraid that they was going to muck something up. Which, by the way, you don't have to have Vanguard running to play Legends of Runeterra, just so you know. Okay. It's only for Valorant. So my question is, in a hypothetical situation, let's say that you're running Vanguard, right? And then you play another game that has anti-cheat detection software.
Ooh.
Would Vanguard allow that to run? It's like, oh, it's an anti-cheat software. It's not our software, so boom, dead.
What is the mightiest anti-cheat software of them all?
Does it Blizzard have something like that?
I'm sure they all have something that's running in the background to try to detect cheating. I think it's just various levels of eagerness on the developer's perspective to detect the cheating.
Right.
In some games like Valorant are obviously a lot more overbearing than other games where you don't even know that it's running. So yeah, I would imagine all games, and they might do it in different ways. Like some games, they might have like algorithms inside the game to be like, okay, yeah, there's no way a human player could have made this crazy trick shot. Let's see what's going on. And you also have reporting systems. So like I know in Blizzard, in Overwatch, you can report people for cheating. And then if the player gets, reported enough for cheating, then you'll get somebody who comes in and sees like, okay, was this player actually cheating?
Yeah.
Based on the gameplay footage.
Looks like CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Let's see here.
I never felt like cheating was that bad. Like in my experience,
it's the Valve anti-cheat software.
Oh,
VAC.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, there's quite a few games that have it. If anybody out there has Valorant running with Vanguard active, and you're also a huge CS, just Counter-Strike a general player, I'd be very interested to see what would happen. Actually, Team Fortress 2 is listed under VAC as well.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, VAC's been around for a long time.
Oh, God, yes. VAC has been around since 2001.
Yeah, I remember.
2002.
When you go join custom servers for TF2, it'll tell you if that server is running VAC or not. So you don't actually have to run it.
Right.
So you could, if you felt like it, you could run your own custom server without the Valve anti-cheat software. That's probably, like crazy, weird, funky rules that maybe aren't possible under normal VAC rules. But, again, you had a choice.
Right.
If you don't want to play with the anti-cheat, here you go. Here's something else you can do. Now, granted, that's one of the very few popular games where you can host your own custom games like that. Because even like Blizzard, when you host it's different. It's not like, if you load up TF2, you're not even in the game, really, while you're looking at the custom servers.
Right. Yeah, no, you can't do like a custom StarCraft.
Yeah.
You could back in the day if you had LAN.
And then you could play League of Legends, the OG.
Yeah. No, I feel like this is definitely not the end of all the crazy ass stories we're going to hear about Vanguard. Now, that being said, if it was anybody other than, like a big company like Riot Games, if it was another, a smaller company, they'd be dead in the water by now. But because it's Riot Games, because, there is a lot of trust in that company, they're just going to be like, but I still want to play the game, so fix it, damn it. Or
I think it also depends on, is it a good game?
Right.
So it's like, people have different tolerances of dealing with crap. If it's actually a good game when it comes out to start with too, definitely helps. And it sounds like, I haven't played, but from what I've heard, it's a fun game.
I mean, if it's pulling professional Overwatch players over, there's got to be something to it.
Well, what isn't Overwatch bleeding players to?
I don't know.
You saw what recently happened.
No.
So basically, the Overwatch's League their Vancouver Titans team, released the entire team today.
What?
Yeah. So basically, all our players are from South Korea. And so when COVID-19 hit, it was basically the players all went back to South Korea because they didn't basically know what happened. And it's a combination of, players had expectation of XYZ, the Vancouver Titans, the management apparently offered them ABC. And it was just a whole lot of stuff And so the decision was made to release basically the entire team, including the coaches.
Here's the press release from the esports director for Titans owner, whatever the group is. I can't pronounce that. Our initial plan was for the team to join the Asian division and continue to play the new schedule from the comfort of the players' homes. But it was quickly apparent that this created a whole new set of challenges. The time difference made it difficult for management and the home fan base to connect with the team, and technical challenges for the players playing from home further exacerbated the situation. With the organization unable to meet the players' expectations in Korea, and after much deliberation and conversation with the players, the difficult decision was made to move the team back to the North American division, and both the players and management agreed that finding a new home for the players would be in everyone's best interest.
Yep, and there are some good players on that team, and they were second in Overwatch League last year. Yeah. So it's definitely it's one of those cases where if something could have gone wrong for the Overwatch League this year, it pretty much went wrong.
Okay, so the team is not gone. I mean, that roster is gone. However,
correct, the players are gone.
What they're going to do is because this is still season time. They're still in an active season. They still got 2 games this weekend, or 2 matches this weekend. So what they're doing is they have like a minor league team called what was it called? Second Wind, and they're literally signing everyone that was part of Second Wind to their roster. So that's going to be the new Vancouver Titans going forward.
That's going to be interesting because that's a second-tier league of the Overwatch Contenders Cup. So I'm kind of curious, are they basically going to get their asses whooped? When you're playing against, the professionals of the Overwatch League, is it going to be basically like if you had a Major League Baseball team play a minor league team? So I'd be kind of curious to see how that actually goes.
Well, the thing is, these guys, Vancouver, lost in the grand finals. So they were one of the top dogs, and it'd be like, let's see here, we'll go with baseball. Why not? It'd be like
I don't even know who won the World Series last year. I forgot to talk.
I have no freaking clue. Let's okay, fine. Let's do football.
Thank you. Something
let's do NFL. Let's just say that you're just midway through your football season in the NFL, and all of a sudden the Patriots decide to release everyone and sign the
AFL.
No, the senior all-star roster for college. You got the Senior Bowl. They literally just signed all the players in the Senior Bowl to be their team for the rest of the season. I mean, they could get lucky, but we're talking about something that's super duper high caliber, and it's a known, quality to something that, I don't know how this team is doing, or in the contenders circuit, but if I don't want to be a dick, but there's a reason why you're in the contender circuit and not in the pro leagues.
Yeah, they're just not going to be as good. There's just no way.
Yeah. Gosh darn it. Speaking of leagues imploding, the XFL is completely dead.
Oh, so sad.
Sorry, Vince McMahon. However,
second time.
However, there are some things that the XFL did that definitely could be introduced into the NFL. So,
hey, what do you think might be introduced?
The way they do kickoffs.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some players that were in the XFL that have now been signed to NFL contracts.
Yeah, the same thing kind of happened with the first XFL. You had a couple players who made it. It's kind of like that idea of basically like the G League, right? The NBA now has a pretty established G League system as an alternative to basically college or going over to, playing Italy or something. Kind of surprising that NFL doesn't have some kind of minor league basically the equivalent of a football team. I mean, think about people. People love football.
Mm-hmm.
If you had like, even if it's an off season, like play like, March through the summer or something through like September, people would watch the shit out of that.
Right, as long as it doesn't overlap the NFL.
Yeah, so you make it in the offseason NFL. And now you own basically, you could sign some of those players to your NFL squad, basically like MLB.
Yep.
People would watch the football year freaking round.
That's why I don't understand why the NFL hasn't already done that.
I'm really surprised. And they'd figure out some way to make money off of it because that's what the NFL does.
Just looking real quick at the Overwatch Contenders League. Oh, shit, look at that. Second Wind is the number 1 North American team.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, holy shit, I'm on their team, and I didn't realize it.
Oh, no. No.
I got to go get my new jersey, guys.
No. Speaking of competitions, I have been, I got severely humbled on, I think it was like Sunday night while I was playing Legends of Runeterra.
Did you get face stumped?
Oh, dude, I thought I was in this match, and then all of a sudden, this dude just unloaded something that I was like, I don't even know what just happened.
He got that right combination cards at the right time and just bloop.
Well, he's able to play like a bunch of like this card that does like 8+ to damage and +5 to your health, and he played like 3 of them in a row to a character that has, the one that has trample damage.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it's like I'm getting hit by a 25 and 13 or something thing. And I don't have anything that could, and I've got like 10 health left.
Yep.
I don't have something that can block all of that.
You need like a sleep spell.
It's called frostbite.
There we go.
But the problem is that those cards, they're not just for a single turn. They're for the rest of the game.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. So I got my ass whopped.
Yep, that'll happen sometimes.
But I tell you what, since we're on Legends of Runeterra, because I kind of steered the conversation that way, I have to say that I really, really like the expedition mode on there, which is the best way I could describe it. It's basically build your deck. So you have these 15 different selections that you make.
Yep.
You get like 3 options, you select one, and then you do that 15 times and you've built your deck.
It's drafting.
It's drafting, yeah. You're drafting your deck. And it's always very interesting because, this is a perfect way to get the gamer to try and learn about other cards that they may not have seen. Because there is a card, and Zealeus, I'm surprised you aren't playing the game simply because of this one card. It creates something called a catastrophe. It's literally like it's a 30-30 trample cat in a huge mech.
That sounds perfect.
I know. It is perfect.
How is it like a 30-30? Like, do you just win? It's like, haha, GG?
No. So what you do is you have to play, I think it's like 15 unique named cards. And then you have to have like basically all your mana. But it is a spell, so you get the +3 there, so you get a little bit of wiggle room. But my God, if someone can't stop that from coming out, because there's very few things doesn't matter how much health your Nexus has, which by the way, that's basically once you hit 0 on your Nexus, you're gone. Doesn't matter how much health you have on your Nexus. A 30-30 is going to hurt a lot.
You're pretty much screwed at that point. That's awesome.
Yeah. I played that a couple times, but then there was a couple times where I got my ass handed to me because I couldn't play 15 different cards fast enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely like a late game card, obviously.
But I have to say, having played Hearthstone and now playing this game,
yep,
I like this game so much more than Hearthstone. It just feels more like I'm in control. It feels like, in Hearthstone, it literally feels like a roll of the dice to me. And then, yes, there are going to be games in Legends of Runeterra where you're going to be playing, you're like, well, shit, I'm just getting bad draw after bad draw after bad draw.
Sure.
But you could play the exact same thing 10 times, and you'll probably do all right 7 out of the 10 times. With Hearthstone, it could be a 50-50 or worse. I highly recommend that anyone check out Legends of Runeterra. However, I will say that I think the real money purchases in the game are just crazy ass, like, what the hell is going on type of purchases.
What do you mean?
So, like, you have this little pet that kind of reacts. It's like sitting on the side of your screen or whatever. It doesn't really do anything. It just, gives you cute faces or makes squeaking noises or celebrates when you take a lot of damage and gets, sad when you get beaten up and all that stuff. But in order to buy another one, if you want to buy, because there's like, I don't know, like 12 or 14 of them that you can, switch out. It's like $6 just for a little animated GIF type thing.
That's right. And can't you buy a different board also?
Yep. And that's about like $6, $7, or $8 as well.
Well, at least so it's cosmetics though. At least.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, I mean, yes and no, sort of. Okay. So you could use real world money to purchase the ability to buy cards. So you could buy cards.
Okay.
But you get enough. I mean, unless you're dying for a specific card, you're not going to spend a shit ton of money unless you need that very specific card. And also, you're only allowed to have a total of 3 of a specific card, period.
Yeah.
However, there are some cards that would allow you to have extra copies in the game. So there's one called, I think it's like Counterfeit Deck, and it will add 4 duplicates of a card that you currently have in your hand. So if you've got a card that'll really rip someone a new one, you can use that one to then just basically mass produce them in your deck. I don't know. I just there's so many. I feel like there's so many ways that you can come back in Legends of Runeterra, where once you're screwed in Hearthstone, you're kind of screwed.
Like it snowballs, you just can't come back. But at least in Legends, you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance, depending on what cards you draw, and there's so many different effects and stuff, and I'm just having a lot of fun with it. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I didn't know I was going to have this much fun with it, but it's definitely, and I've been humbled. But the difference is that I think first of all, there is no chat room, and I think that's a huge plus for me because, well, I mean, if I'm streaming online, there is a chat room because people will be putting stuff in the chat window, tell me how idiotic I am by playing that card or this card. But when it comes to me and my opponent, the worst we could do is just have these animated stickers emotes that pop up for a second, waving or shock face or crying or basically bowing in salute or something, cutesy shit. So but yeah, I highly recommend Legends of Runeterra, and I'll continue to do that because it's that good. Okay.
It's that good. Every once in a while you find the game that actually entertains you.
Indubitably. Now, speaking of in the vein of competitive gaming, there was some very sad news that came out, and that was EVO, basically the cream of the crop, super duper fighting game tournament, has been canceled for this year.
No!
Yeah.
Corey would be so disappointed.
Huh?
Vitamin Geek, Corey.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes. Yeah, it's just, it's because of, due to COVID-19, we are sadly canceling EVO 2020 at Mandalay Bay and refunding all purchased tickets. The health and well-being of our community is our highest priority. We hope everyone stays safe during this time. EVO 2020 had been set for July 31st through August the 2nd. Organizers are also planning an online replacement event this summer to keep the EVO spirit alive. So there's still going to be some sort of online presence, hopefully.
Well, because you would think it was a video game tournament like Evo, that you could still be able to, like you said, have an online tournament.
Right.
Obviously, some of the experience and protocols and some of those things will be different. I mean, part of being at a fighting game tournament is that in-person experience. It's mano a mano, one-on-one, fight to the death.
Right, but I mean, there's
a little bit of that.
The logistics is going to be a little bit interesting if you're doing, like, especially when it comes to fighting, because you got latency, and a fraction of a second could be the difference between doing a perfect counter and just getting your ass handed to you.
Oh, in a fighting game, yeah. Like, and then timing is everything.
And then also, when you're in the professional level and you're doing all these fighting tournaments, your equipment gets the look over.
Mm-hmm.
You have to submit your gamepad or whatever to make sure that everything is on the up and up. In a virtual environment, an online only environment, how are they going to be able to, dictate that?
My Turbo Extreme XXXXXL isn't legal
exactly.
sometimes?
Yeah, the one that was kind of iffy beforehand is definitely iffy now.
What if I put the innards inside of another game controller? They would never then notice.
I think that they test your control. I think they test your setup. I think. They're like, oh, let me plug it in and make sure all the buttons work.
That's what the turbo button's for. It's secret. Nobody even knows.
It's on the bottom of the box. Now, speaking of online stuff, an online presence, there was some news that came out, and it is that MomoCon 2020 will be virtual.
Ooh.
So there will be some MomoCon loving over March 21st through the 24th. So this is what they're going to do. During the 4 days, they will feature live stream panels and events on Twitch, exclusive merchandise on the MomoCon shop, a community-focused Discord server to interact with your fellow fans, an online cosplay showcase, and a MomoCon-themed Animal Crossing island.
Oh, of course, there's something with Animal Crossing.
Of course. Now, the Twitch live streams. This is what I was interested in. So they anticipate releasing a full schedule of events around May 15th, right here on their website, momocon.com. MomoCon Online will be sure to catch both rebroadcasts and new panel content from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Thursday and Saturday. Be sure to follow the MomoCon channels for updates and when we go live. My question is the new panel content.
Mm-hmm.
How are they doing that?
I would assume maybe they'll reach out to people who were already doing panels and be like, yo, dog, you were doing a panel. Would you like to do a live stream panel? And we'll, advertise it on the MomoCon stuff.
So that's just really interesting to me because
it's kind of like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like it'd be natural.
Right. Exactly. I just don't know. Like, I really wish that I knew, like, how are they doing these panels, because, they give us a heads up. We'll would be happy to do one, but I haven't heard jack squat. So I don't know if maybe they're like, it's like the upper echelon panels that they had to pay the talent to come in, that maybe, the talent gets paid a little bit to still do things. I'm not sure.
Or, why not just be like, hey, these panels, can you do them virtually? If you can, just do it at the same time you're doing before.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't remember what time they were. I think we had one at Thursday at 8:00 or something. Hey, can you still do your Thursday 8:00 panel? Sweet. Just do it virtually now. If you can't, no big deal.
Let's see here.
I'm saying, like,
video game changing for the good was Thursday at 7 p.m. and avoiding indie creator pitfalls was Saturday at 4. Saturday at 4. So it was a 7 p.m. and a 4 p.m. panel. But I haven't heard jack squat, so
Well, in time we shall find out.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. But, I'm excited for MomoCon Online. I'll definitely, try to check it out and see what it's all about, and maybe show some of the maybe like, host some of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very interested in seeing the online cosplay showcase, though. That's got to be interesting.
See if it's like regular or burlesque style.
No, it wouldn't be burlesque. They're still going. I mean, they are going to lock that stuff down.
Yeah.
But I'd be very interested to see that. Now, Zealeus found out some news about another convention in the Atlanta area that it looks like one of the huge pieces of it may not be happening this year.
And that, of course, is DragonCon, where the city is basically not issuing or revoking, or they'll be not giving away permits to parades. So specifically on Memorial Weekend is not just MomoCon, not just DragonCon, but it's also the Gay Pride Parade.
Yep, Atlanta Pride.
So both those parades basically told you are not getting a permit for those weekends. It really kind of feels like at this point, it's almost like for DragonCon specifically, they're almost waiting for the city or the state to be like, yeah, you're not having DragonCon because it's too many freaking people, really for the escape clause of their insurance.
Right.
So that they can save some money instead of having to outright lose everything.
Well,
that's kind of how it feels.
There is an event called the Atlanta Jazz Festival, which basically it's a Memorial Day weekend showcase. Like it basically just, every single day it builds up to a bigger name until,
Yeah.
But that's going virtual. They're not allowing it to be in person.
Ooh, that could actually be kind of cool to watch virtually, not going to lie.
Yeah. I wonder what the ticket sale will be, though. Because I know that there's a lot of people out there who... Actually, that's a very good question. Is MomoCon going to be free? I would assume so.
That's a good question. So yeah, it's it's just going to be a continued thing where you're going to see events like this just continue to get canceled over and over and over.
Yeah. Ooh.
Unfortunate.
Let's see. We have been highlighting the amazing diversity of our... this is a MomoCon page, by the way. We have been... By the way, Kim says she loves your new hat. We have been highlighting the amazing diversity of our artists and vendors on MomoCon's Twitter page for the past several weeks, and we'll continue to do so each day. You can help support these small businesses by visiting their online stores and websites. We have a vendor list and an artist alley list online right now. So, there's definitely those places, those tables that we used to go to every single time MomoCon happens. Now, of course, just looking at the vendor list is basically name, fandom, products for sale, and then their website. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to remember some of them. Kim says lots of events are going online. There's a comic book festival that went online with live interviews. They call it Stay at Home Con. Yeah, that's what a lot, if you have the capabilities of doing it, by all means, but there's a lot of conventions out there where certain panels were people from all over the industry. And so that's kind of hard to try to put it all together and then make it look professional. It ends up being kind of like everyone screaming over each other because someone's internet connection is faster than the other. And then, of course, when it comes to our show, when we do it live on Facebook and Twitch, there is a time delay. When you're dealing with, a chat room and you've got a couple thousand people in there who just literally nail in that chat room every second, that's got to be insane.
And of course, it's like a really popular Twitch channel.
Right, but let's say as you're doing a panel about, I don't know, some sort of fandom, and then you open up the floor for questions. Instead of having that, that microphone that passes around or that line, now it's just literally people trying to type as fast as they can.
Sure.
And so how do you decide,
Maybe do it like a Reddit AMA where you have to submit your questions ahead of time.
True.
And then they kind of pick the most interesting ones. If it's going to be a really popular... I'll be curious what the actual attendance of some of these panels would be if they're virtual.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of... particularly if it's paid versus free.
Kim says, yeah, it has lots of work around for sure. I'm just happy to see people trying to figure out ways to get creative. And the thing is, and we've done this on the show for a couple of weeks, is we've been doing a couple local shout outs for individuals who deserve some love and attention. I guess we'll do that right now, just because it's on the tip of my tongue.
What a segue.
I know. So,
but you have Gunny, though, who says, I think we will see more Twitch-style hosting companies hosting events in the near future.
Oh, of course. But the thing is, hold on. Let me do the shout-outs, and then we'll go into it, so I don't forget. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I do want to do a couple shout-outs to individuals that have helped out Altered Confusion in many, many ways. The first, of course, is the Indie Cluster. The Indie Cluster is basically, it's like Altered Confusion, but instead of us doing the interviews trying to highlight the indie developers out there, this is an organization that basically helps out indie creators to get event space, booth space at conventions to help show off their stuff. There's a gentleman by the name of Ron Jones. He gets the area, and then he, basically, I'm sure it cuts like a hell of a deal for those indie developers out there so that they can showcase their stuff, because those tables are not cheap. And,
is these video games only, or would it be like tabletop games too?
This is video games for all I know. As far as I know, I believe it's just video games, but I could be wrong. The second, and speaking of not video games, but amazing games that everyone needs to know about, there's a company called NerdBurger Games run by Craig Campbell, an amazing person.
The
one and only Craig Campbell. He, some of the games that he's made are Murders and Acquisitions, Die Laughing, and of course the Capers series, which has successfully funded, I think it's his 4th expansion.
He really likes the game.
It is a lot of fun. Capers, of course, is a 1940s prohibition superpower game. Murders and Acquisitions is basically you do anything and everything in an office to try to reach the top. And of course, Die Laughing is kind of like a play in several different parts where everyone's assigned a piece, and then you never know what's going to happen. But everyone's going to die. Now,
but it's how well do you die? I mean, we all die anyway, so you might as well go out with a bang.
Exactly. Now, there is an amazing restaurant that's in the Sandy Springs area, right off of 285 on the Roswell Road, that Zealeus and I and many a nerd has basically called our home away from home. And that, of course, ladies and gentlemen, is Brew. It's an amazing restaurant. It's got tons of PCs set up for play. There's a bunch of TVs with different game systems. There's board games. There's, of course, an amazing bar and then phenomenal food as well. So they're doing curbside stuff Tuesday through Sunday. I believe it starts at 4 p.m. until 9 p.m. Definitely need to show some love for them, as they have hosted some of our Thursday night hangouts and gaming sessions on their TVs during business hours. And the final shout out I want to do is to the amazing Dr. Ryan, who is my chiropractor. He runs Hero Chiropractic. He will travel to you and help you sort out the issues that you may be having. He's been my chiropractor for 2.5 years now, and I love every single minute of having found him, because my God, my back, my neck, and all that stuff is better than it's been in many a moon.
How many moons?
Many a moon.
How many suns, though?
Not as many as you would think. Okay, anyways, going back to Gunny Chief saying, I think we will see more Twitch-style hosting companies hosting events in the near future. That would not surprise me. However, I would caution anyone from jumping into that, simply because of what's been going on with just like this basically servers aren't able to keep up. You had the Zoom stuff, you had all those other things, Kim, not just mini moons like teeny, but tiny ones. Yes.
Well, I mean, most of the hosting companies have got their hosting video shit together, really.
You would think?
I'd say for the most part. I mean, I remember at the beginning of, the whole stuff when we went virtual, even Google Meets had issues, but really Zoom We use Zoom. We never had any issues with it.
I think it was just the like the way you had to set it up. Like you had to be careful. Like people found out the hard way that you had to be careful about how you set it up because people were basically hijacking meetings and stuff.
No, there's definitely configuration settings you want to use. So yes, you don't get Zoom bombers. That is an accurate statement.
Yeah, I'm all for, keeping everyone safe and doing virtual stuff. I think that there's still definitely a lot of things out there that I would rather do face to face, but this is, I don't want to go to a 100% virtual convention schedule. That to me would kind of miss the mark, because I like actually talking face to face to people. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love chat rooms and I love discussing stuff with individuals in chat rooms, but for me, it's more I could see the fandom in their eyes and not try to guess, the level of sarcasm that they're throwing through the chat room.
Well, and I think for conventions, like I think maybe like the first, little bit of conventions, people will be fine doing virtually.
Yeah.
I think there comes a certain point where people just won't be interested in them. Like there's like that threshold for how much of the virtual conventions will people have an interest in. And there comes a certain point where part of the conventions are that human interaction and having people and, being around them and everything. And I think there comes a point where nobody's going to be interested in doing a virtual convention.
What was I going to say? The part of the convention, especially I think for a lot of convention goers, is that, you get lost in the vendor hall and you find shit that you didn't even know existed. But you can't really do that in a virtual thing because, it's much more, you have to really, go wandering online to find some of this stuff instead of, you're walking down aisle 11 and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, right next to the table that has like all the old school Magic the Gathering cards is something that basically has the, etched in glassware that you had no idea about. And then you found
that's
it.
Definitely part of it. Like, it's when you walk around, you can kind of walk down the artist alley and just see them all. Mm-hmm. It's just not the same looking on like I'm just going to say Etsy for the sake of argument. This is not the same looking at an Etsy and trying to look through everybody's portfolio. Because frankly, I can do that at any time. It's partial, part of it's honestly like the memory. Like, I look at the, artwork I have on my walls, all my artwork are from conventions. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh yeah, that one's from DragonCon, that one's from MomoCon. That's from the convention that shall not be named. But each of them kind of have like a little bit of a memory to them. And that's kind of part of it too. It's,
right.
It's not just the purchasing. It's like there's a little bit of nostalgia factor.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a lot of what people look for in conventions. It's they get together with, like-minded people and who just kind of your people.
Right. You could get, you gain like a new appreciation of certain things. You gain new friends. And like Zealeus said, when you go to conventions, you may get something that will, cause that bit of nostalgia. I mean, shit, I went to 1 year of the convention that shall not be named, and I got and I went right up to Doug Jones, which if anyone knows who Doug Jones is, he's an amazing actor who has like, he's got to have like the most like pain tolerant body in the world, the amount of prosthetics he puts himself into. Doug Jones, of course, is the guy who was Abe. He wasn't the voice of Abe in Hellboy, but he wore that. He was the faun in Pan's Labyrinth. He was also the guy with the kooky eyeballs in Pan's Labyrinth. He has done a ton. He was also Billy from Hocus Pocus. So the guy is the nicest person I've ever met in my life, and that was so cool. You get to learn stuff about that, or Eddie McClintock from Warehouse 13, and he being a really cool guy. Really cool guy. and having a conversation with him, and it ended up having me call my wife and him singing a song to my wife on the phone. I mean, you can't get that virtually. You're not going to get that.
It sounds like he was trying to steal your wife.
No, he's that nice, of a person. I mean, that's fun. I mean, that's part of the convention. I love going to conventions because, not only do I get to, see really cool things, but I get to, interact with so many people that I've never met before. Maybe I find out something that I hadn't known before. Maybe there's an anime out there that I have to watch. There's a video game I have to try that's basically right in line. Case in point, one of the main things that Altered Confusion does at MomoCon and other conventions is we try to go and interview independent creators. And what I've been doing for the past, I think, 3 or 4 years at MomoCon is I've been interviewing those indie developers. And some of the games that they have are phenomenal. Yes, some of them are garbage, but, there's some,
It's the same with AAA titles.
There's a game out there that that's called Round Guard. And if you haven't played, you definitely need to check it out. I think it's on at least on PC, Switch. It could be on other platforms. I'm not sure. I just know I have it on the PC and the Switch.
I actually got Round Guard. I could not get into it.
Sad. Which character did you choose?
I tried both the warrior, which I got my face stomped in,
Yep.
and I actually beat a couple of maps of the mage.
So you used the one character. You didn't use the one character that I exclusively use.
The thief.
Yeah, the thief or the
With
rogue.
the double jump.
Because it has the double jump. Yeah.
See, I like the mage because you got 2 bugs that come down. You can zap things.
Yep.
My problem with Round Guard is I did not enjoy the replayability. I just felt like I was kind of repeating myself over and over and over.
When you die, they give you a special token to help you get further, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that wasn't the problem. I just felt like, I don't know. I enjoyed it when I played it. I just didn't feel the urge to continue getting further and further and further.
Understood. There's games out there for everyone. There's games that are not out there. I mean, that are out there.
I will give them kudos, though, because it was a very unique take on the genres, basically of what's the one where you shoot things?
Peggle.
Thank you, Peggle and RPG. It was a fun take on them, so I give them props. There was I don't have anything bad to say about the game.
Right.
This was terrible game or game design. Just certain games hold people's attentions better than others.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's why we have variety in video games.
Now, another game that I got to interview the individuals behind is a game called Epic Tavern, which I think it was 2 years ago, which is, I would never know that, running a tavern and trying to get, managing a tavern to get the right food and the right drinks, and then have those characters go off on adventures and them having to have specific statistics in certain, areas in order to beat the stat check. It's a lot. I mean, I don't play it anymore, but it was a lot of fun for a good chunk of time.
I really enjoyed Epic Tavern. No, I played back in early beta. I guess because you played after me, you said characters could actually die.
Yep.
And they definitely could not die when I played. So I'm kind of curious now. Interesting. I'm actually looking it up on Steam now because now I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I mean, I would, there's like I said, I would not have known about Epic Tavern or Round Guard if it wasn't for MomoCon. I wouldn't know about the author by the name of Dan Jolly if I hadn't gone to Canuga. Sorry, I have to get that one right. I would not have gotten a chance to have one of my my old sci-fi fantasy books signed by an author, and him go, "Holy shit, you got one of the first runs." That was at Con Carolina. I wouldn't have gotten to meet. I wouldn't have got to meet Louis Puster III and his Ukamog series if I hadn't gone to AndoCon. I mean, shit. a lot of stuff has definitely happened because we wouldn't have met Craig Campbell.
Sure. Oh yeah. Where did we meet Craig Campbell?
I think at AndoCon.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And we met Eddie Webb at AndoCon and Sean Patrick Fannin at AndoCon. I mean, we met a ton of people at AndoCon. You know,
all these good peoples.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I've got stuff signed by Scott Kurtz and Chris Straub from PAX conventions. You know, I actually was following Scott Kurtz's Twitter feed and actually bought a Diablo poker set for him and mailed it to him.
Nice.
You know, because I was at BlizzCon and I would, you know, it's once in a lifetime experiences. And as much as I'm very happy to see that MomoCon is going to do a virtual thing, I don't think that I could take a just virtual MomoCon going forward. It wouldn't work for me.
So randomly, I'm looking at Epic Tavern. Apparently, it's still being updated.
Yeah, man. Heck yeah.
Well, I may have to come back and check it out one of these days and see what I've missed. Now I'm curious.
Yes. No, there's just, you know, I'm happy that MomoCon's happening in some shape or form. I'm very interested to see what these panels are, as we haven't had, you know, we apparently are not on that invite list, I would assume.
I mean, think about like putting on a panel.
Yep.
And it's basically, it's almost like a class, you know, that we teach in school. It's, you know, like people talking. You could still interact with the audience. You could still have chats. And heck, when we have our classes, our people, you know, students still have, you know, microphones and cameras.
Yep.
Obviously, moderation can be an issue at times because some platforms would allow you to control that. And that can get a little bit out of hand. I know it's hard to imagine, but that can make life a little bit dicey at times.
Yep.
But there's ways to make that happen. So why not try to kind of get that little bit of that community spirit to make it happen?
Right. Agreed. I will definitely, it's going to be, I think for me, it's going to be a little bit weird simply because, one, I have not strictly been just an attendee at a convention since 2013. I think that was the last PAX I went to. And then I've never gone to MomoCon as just an attendee. Have I ever gone to DragonCon as just an attendee? No. I went to the 2 times I went to DragonCon because I stopped going to PAX, because that's the PAX Prime or PAX West and DragonCon on the exact same weekend. Once I switched over, it was because I had a booth or table, a fan table.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, it's been a long ass time since I've been to a convention as an attendee only. That's weird.
That is crazy, man.
Indubitably. So, Zealeus, what are you playing these days?
So right now I'm still playing on my Switch. I'm still playing Civilization, just one more turn. I've almost beat the map I was on, so I'm trying to finish that up. And then I'm still playing Trials of Mana, which is a quality, classic JRPG updated for the Switch. It's the action JRPG, so it's you and 2 of your party mates. I like it because the battles are not particularly hard. It does
get harder.
I'm sure they are, but even like in Tales of Fantasia, battles are really hard. Like from the beginning, like there's no like let's ease your way into battle. Nope, it's like it kicks you in the face like pretty much immediately. Really, so far in Trials of Mana. I mean, you can't just sit there. Like, you actually have to kind of think about battles. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like you have to be on your A+ game the entire time.
Right.
Which I can appreciate. So far I'm enjoying the game. And it's the one thing I did learn about the game So it feels like sometimes like when you're going places
Mm-hmm.
that you can basically go like right back to it. Like, we got like multiple paths. And if you go like to the gold star, which is like basically your target, if you go there, you can go back to see where you went. Nope. If you see like another path that's not going towards the gold star, just do it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Because chances are you aren't actually going back, even though it looks like you can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the number one lesson I learned about the game pretty quickly. But as we know, I'm also not a big open world type of video game player.
Yep.
So it's like, it's just enough of like side paths for your dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of guiding you along on where you're supposed to do. For me, it hits like just that right balance
Mm-hmm.
between giving you stuff to do and kind of guiding you on where to do. And it seems like it would also be like, the game's long enough where I don't plan doing it right away, but you have variety in characters.
Mm-hmm.
So if you felt like it, you could go back and replay it again with really entirely different cast of characters and have a completely different gameplay experience because, you go from, like right now, I have basically the holy trinity of, tank. I'm a ranged damage dealer, and then you have the healer.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you could go, ranged nuke and 2 melees. You probably do just fine, honestly, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But you could go in with that mentality and do it. So I find that interesting, where you really could change up your party strategy.
So I picked up a new game. It's called Indivisible. It's a brand new game that dropped on the Switch. It's sort of, it's not really live action. You go into like a fighting screen. You can see your enemy, and the enemy's either going to hit you or you're going to hit it or them, and then it goes into this battle mode. And the interesting thing about this game, or the way it's done, is that during the battles, of course, everyone's got their timer, their time bar of once you get to a certain point, then you can do actions. And you could also see the enemies as well.
Yep.
But the interesting thing is, when it's the time for the enemy to attack, it's going to indicate what character it's going to aim at. And if you time it right and you hit that character's button, you can block it and get 1, less damage, and 2, power up an ultimate attack meter. But it's remembering, like, panicking at the last second, going, oh shit, was that, which character was that? Was that X, Y, or B, or A? Because if you hit the wrong one, then that person's going to block, but it's not going to take any damage, and the character that does get hit is going to take full damage.
I do have major issues with trials of getting going from like, I've used to basically the controls on the Xbox controller, and then I go to the Switch Pro controller, and my brain just screws up the controls.
Yes.
I'm like, fast attack, heavy attack. I end up inevitably doing like fast attack, jump, and dodge. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with my brain?
No, I do that too. The past 2 days I've been a little bit underneath the weather, and to be honest with you, up until about 30 minutes before the show, I didn't know if I was going to call it off or not. But
you look fantastic, sir.
Thank you, sir. I actually was watching some TV shows on some Blu-ray discs through my Xbox One, and I kept hitting the wrong button on my gamepad, going, "No, why isn't it working?" And I was like, "Oh shit, it's different than the gamepad layout for the Switch." It was like A, B, or Switch, right? Yeah. I was just like,
and of course, I know it's a classic meme, but you have the game, the Xbox with its controller scheme.
Yep.
Nintendo's is completely different. And then Sony's like, screw number or like letters. We're just using characters.
Shapes. Yep.
Or shapes.
Yep.
So it's, if you're playing all 3 consoles, yeah, good luck.
Yeah. No. But yeah, so I had a little bit of fun in that regard for that. So,
can you actually use, like, if you bought a Bluetooth gamepad, could you use that on your Xbox and Switch? So at least you're using the same gamepad on all of them. Is that possible?
I don't know. Go figure it out, Zealeus, and tell us tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nah.
Nah. Although news does keep leaking about the Xbox Series X and the PS5.
And what is it? The Last of Us 2? Apparently there's a huge leak on that one too.
Yeah, that was really strange. It was like, it's a leak. It's not a leak. It is a leak. It's not a leak.
We found out who leaked it. That's not a leak, but it's a leak. But we don't know what it's talking about.
Yeah, that was an odd one, but yeah. The big question is, honestly, if like you are interested in a new console, because the whole idea is, which makes sense, is to release it around holiday season. What will their actual availability be? Because I imagine there'll still be cases with people not being able to leave the house in certain pockets, who are going to want the shiny new fancy device, kind of like the Switch, right now. So are you gonna have the same crazy supply and demand issues of the new consoles?
Depends on how long this COVID-19 thing is going to happen. Because that's already, I mean, it's screwed up the production of Nintendo Switches and also closed a shit ton of the Switch repair shops. So if you got issues with your Switch, you're kind of SOL for now.
Well, and that's I know like some of the head people of Xbox and Sony have asked about like production, and they're like, nope, we're still releasing it holiday season. Now granted, we're May, so there's still plenty of time for that to change.
Right.
So that's one of those things where like, I won't be surprised if it comes out during holiday season, but if it also gets delayed, I would expect that too. Like either scenario is going to be like, yep, well, that makes sense. Who knows? Because they also seem though that they're in final production. It's not like anything's going to change.
Well, you say that. And what happened with the PlayStation 3 was that in the 11th hour, they decided, the Batarang controller isn't what we really thought it needed to be, so we're just going to hold off for a year, redesign it, and by the way, Rumble is last generation, so we're not even going to fucking do that either.
Fair point.
It can happen. Or you could pull a Duke Nukem forever.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah, we're going to bring it out. Oh, look, there's a bunch of brand new stuff we could do. We're scrapping everything. We're going to start again.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening with either console.
No, God, no.
I mean, it might be production. I think production delays is a realistic question mark. I mean, same with the Switch.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean,
who knows?
Part of it is, because we're pushing more towards a digital more of a digital marketplace, you're not going to have to worry about manufacturing of discs and cases and then shipping them out to physical stores and having to pay that kind of stuff. It just goes onto the store. So, in some regards, developers, I mean, yes, you really need to have your whole team in one place, just in case individuals do not communicate clearly, and what one team thinks is what's right is not the same thing as the other team. Yeah, it helps to have a true sit down face to face meeting. But overall, production could still go on as planned as long as they don't run out of money, which of course is the big right now.
I mean, is there? Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, you got like Bethesda and Sony who are definitely throwing some money into the pot to try to keep some of these smaller developers, afloat so they can make their games, and of course probably sign a nice little contract with either of those companies to either do a time exclusive or whatever. But still,
speaking of exclusives, apparently, I didn't know Zero Dawn Horizon is actually coming to the PC finally.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a timed exclusive then.
But apparently not the Xbox.
That's interesting.
I was like, that's fascinating. So, but it's a Sony development office, so that's probably why. Sony's just giving the big middle finger to Microsoft.
Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Which is, like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, the second quarter of 2020 will be on Windows, which is kind of, it is kind of weird. They're not going to put it on the Xbox, but the Xbox One and Windows is on the exact same architecture. So, it really is a middle finger going, no.
We just don't feel like giving it to you.
Yeah, it's ours, and we understand that there's a bunch of PC Master Race people that want to play this game, so we'll do that. But we ain't gonna put our amazing game on your console.
Yeah, one of the last bastions of the exclusives.
What's crazy is that the company behind Horizon Zero Dawn is Guerrilla Games, and to be honest with you, I didn't know Guerrilla Games was still around because they were the guys behind Killzone, which was kind of their like Halo-esque or Gears of War-esque game. But shit, I didn't even know they're still around. But they're still around, so bravo.
What's dead may never die.
StarCraft Ghost. That's dead. Let's be honest.
Okay, fair point. Nope, actually, switch and bait. Instead of Overwatch 2,
StarCraft Ghost.
Yes. So, screw it. Overwatch is dead.
How about the Amazon, what was it called? Team-based shooter, Crucible, which really no one's heard anything since 2016. It's coming out on May 20th.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's that other Amazon like survival MMO that was supposed to be coming out too, I thought.
The Crucible will give players a roster of characters to choose from called Hunters. The game will be different from your traditional PvP title and will force players to fight neutral monsters as well as the opposing team, adopting some MOBA elements.
Yeah, there's also this one. There's also Amazon's New World.
Yeah.
We have to overcome the brutal legions of the corrupted and draw battle lines with competing players in the land of danger and opportunity, where you can bond skill and strength in melee combat, or you can attack at range with precision, or master the arcane attacks.
All right, Zealeus, you need to get on it. Go sign up for the closed beta.
It sounds like every MMO ever.
Closed beta is in July, so I mean that's around your birthday. So happy closed beta birthday to you! And it's supposed to come out. Let's see here. We have made the hard decision to delay the release of this game until August 25th, 2020, and the start of closed beta in July. So,
hey, look, and somehow it seems like it already has, a 3-star rating.
Yeah. I love crazy ass ratings.
Yes.
But yeah, this is a very interesting world we're entering.
We'll tell our kids about it someday.
My kids are already here.
Oh. Well, I'll continue to tell my cat about it then.
There you go. Rose, let me tell you, back in the day, actually, you were already here, but besides the point. No.
Do you remember the time that you really wanted food from me?
And I said no. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting, year coming up with conventions probably continue to go virtual and maybe some more movie studios causing theater owners to have hissy fits and say, I'll never show you movies again, which is the quickest way to put everything on video on demand.
Well, and of course, when you think of, even when, people feel like it's safe to go out again,
mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, there's almost like a level of what are we willing to almost like risk,
mm-hmm.
Going to like the grocery store or getting a haircut, things like that, I think are normal
going
things people
bowling.
kind of go back to. Getting tattoos.
You go bowling while you get a tattoo.
But that's bold. When it comes to like a movie theaters and things like that, it's like, do I really need to go to the movie where there's all those people and that jackass next to me is going to be on their cell phone anyways?
And there's going to be that girl who brought in her baby because she was just desperate to see the movie.
Even though it's a rated R movie.
With lots of explosions.
Or I could just sit at home and, do things while it's like, I think movie theaters are one of those things where, they already kind of have been on the decline.
Right.
But you're just going to see more of them die. There'll always be somewhat of a niche for them.
Indie films.
So yeah, movie theaters are at some point. It's almost like the drive-in, right? Like that became a relic.
There really has been a resurgence in the drive-in movie theaters, from my understanding. There's quite a few like big name restaurants who have humongous parking lots that basically have turned into drive-in movie theaters.
It's because you can watch the movie while social distancing.
Exactly. So. Oh, and by the way, just for anyone who, I don't know why you would even think this, but Destiny 2 has been confirmed for next generation platforms. When did Destiny 2 come out?
I want to say 3 to 4 years ago.
I mean, I'm sorry, I only played Destiny 1, and I was kind of like, Destiny 2 came out in 2017.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, yeah, it's going to be available on the next console. Is there like that much amazing content that is going strong after 3 years and warrants a move to the new console?
I mean, they keep on coming out with new content. It's like a, FPS. I haven't played it in probably 2 years, but it's basically an FPS MMO where it comes out with new content. Now, from what I haven't played it, but from what I know, it seems like it's also like they have season resets. Where basically it resets certain things and you have to basically re-chase up the wheel again. It's one of those type of games. What's that?
No, I don't do that.
That's one of the reasons I've not got into it. Yeah. The one game I've considered, like apparently Final Fantasy 14 keeps on getting somehow better and better.
Sweet.
But it scares me because the problem is I know if I get back into Final Fantasy 14, I might as well just sell my Switch.
And into the depths it goes.
That's just, when you get involved in MMO, you just don't have time for anything else.
No, I know.
Yeah, So that's one of the reasons I've not jumped back into Final Fantasy 14, which ironically, if I had to do it, now would be the time to do it because I'm not at school all the time.
Yep.
And robotics season's over. So that's not eating away my free time. Now would be the time to do it. But I'm also like, I just got the Switch. There's some games I'm trying to play. But yeah, it's apparently the latest expansion's amazing. Yeah. It already was amazing. That's why I'm like, how could it be any better?
The world may never know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we've reached the end of our show. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or criticism for us, just drop it to any of our many social media platforms, which of course will be shown in the outro credits. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to the Altered Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure giving you a thing on our heads, our mouths, and of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday for another amazing Thursday Night Hangout.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.